All right, Shalom. Before I start, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachachurash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all the elect Akim, Wa'akwa, learning, teaching, and truth and sincerity under the videos of the Spirit. Your brother Malak from GMS Detroit. Right here it says what they didn't want you to know about Aunt Jemima. All right, I'm going to be playing this video. Come to find out, we're going to see what connections that word even has to the scriptures, the word Jemima. And so the point of this video, Esau commonly, he likes to take things that were ours, and flip it to make it a denotation and keep it away from us. All right, and we're going to see that this very word Jemima, y'all, if you didn't know, is actually a biblical word. It's a name. If you didn't know that, it's actually a good name for a daughter. But what did Esau Edom do? He turned it into an epithet. He turned it into an insult. Just like with the term Uncle Tom. Tom was the good one. It was, the Sambo. Right? That's what you don't want to be. That's why, in recent years, brothers went from saying Uncle Tom to a Sambo. All right, this is something that Esau loves to do. The things that were good, he'll flip them and make them evil. And the things that are evil, he'll flip them and make them good. So I'll start with that real quick out of Isaiah. He loves to swap out the truth with lies. And lies with the truth to make that which is up seem down and that which is down seem up. Isaiah 10, not 10, always do that. Isaiah 5 and 20. Woe unto them that call evil good. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Esau flips and flops everything upside down. All right, and we'll go take a look at that name here in a moment. But I'm going to come back here, showing you the history of the whole, the Jemima thing, right? The pancakes, the brand, that terminology. Esau Edom, y'all. Everything goes back to so-called racism. Everything in this country has its roots in his mistreatment of our people. Plain and simple.
In the world of breakfast staples, few names echo through American kitchens like Aunt Jemima. Yet beneath that familiar facade lies a story that is intertwined with America's racist past, from minstrel shows to modern grocery store aisles. Aunt Jemima's image has carried more than just pancake mix. It has carried the weight of cultural stereotypes, and it's an emblem of comfort food and a stark reminder of America's uncomfortable history. So join us today while we uncover the story of Aunt Jemima. And if you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at onemichistory.com. Also, if you like only episodes, you can find our podcast wherever you get your podcast. Establishing the Pearl Milling Company. Essentially, in 1888, Chris Rutt and Charles Haywood acquired a small flour mill in St. Joseph's, Missouri, establishing the Pearl Milling Company. Essentially, they were producing meal products like wheat flour and cornmeal, but they faced a saturated market. In 1889, they innovated by selling their excess as self-rising pancake batter, and this marked the creation of the first ready-mix product. Rutt would adopt the Aunt Jemima image from a vaudeville poster and put that brand on their pancake mix. Despite the effort, they lacked capital, and in 1890 they were sold to the R.T. Davis Milling Company. R.T. Davis improvised the mix by adding rice, flour, corn, sugar, and powdered milk, making it simpler and easier to prepare, only requiring water. This success eventually led to the company being renamed Aunt Jemima Meals. Aunt Jemima was modeled after the mammy stereotype. The mammy archetype is a pervasive stereotype that depicts black women as cheerful, subservient domestic workers devoted to their white families. It emerged during the...
It's all right. So, these Edomites, they had this company. Then what? Then they chose to, after finding some success, to be a mascot. They used the mammy stereotype black woman to promote their brand. Out of all things they could have used, they could use a bobcat, could use a fucking leopard. Nope, they choose to, insult you furthermore with the, coon, overweight, black woman stereotype, and so-called good people, right?
Era and perpetuate this romanticized view of plantation life with the happy slave narrative, despite the harsh realities of enslavement. In the brand's naming, terms like aunt and uncle were used to address older individuals and intentionally deny them proper English titles like Mr. or Mrs., implying their inferiority. Early advertising heavily leaned into this archetype, often using slogans like eyes in honey to represent Aunt Jemima as a loyal cook on fictitious plantation. These advertisements romanticize plantation life with fictitious stories and reinforce this idealized domesticity. The initial logo marketed materials drew on caricatures from vaudeville parodies, and over time, even as the image evolved, Aunt Jemima predominantly shown in this servant role and was rarely acknowledged as having her own personal life beyond servitude. Alongside brands like Uncle Ben's and Creamer Wheat's Rastas, Aunt Jemima contributed to this post-Reconstruction fantasy that sought to redeem this idealized version of the antebellum South. The name Aunt Jemima even entered the lexicon as a derogatory term for black women who was perceived overly subservient or aligned with white interests.
Right, so they set this caricature up so that they could feel better about themselves. See, it wasn't all bad. Aunt Jemima was happy in the kitchen cooking. Right? They do all these things to suppress their own demonic conscience, because they know that they did us wrong, y'all. They know that they did us wrong. So once again, and I'm gonna let the whole video play out. They're running around with such a bad conscience, right? They have to do all these things in the world just to try to feel good. That's how you know you're evil, when you have to lie to yourself, lie to everything around you, lie about everything, even with something as small as that. Why? Because you're the fucking devil. And actually, I'm gonna get another scripture, because it just reminded me. They want us to always be in a cheerful state, even though we're in our captivity. They don't want to ever truly acknowledge the wrong that they've done to us. That's why many of the, you got a lot of Edomites out here running around. They really don't know how bad slavery was, y'all, so-called. It wasn't no indentured servitude, right? Trump was trying to have the books rewritten. We didn't willingly hop on the ship with Europeans to, pick some crops. We were brutally captivated, raped, robbed, and murdered. And commonly, Esau likes to make a jest and a circus out of us. Psalms, I'm going to get this, Psalms 137:1, it says, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yeah, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. So nothing's funny. The rejoicing and the singing is over when you go into captivity. All right, it happened when we were taken into ancient Babylon, and it happened again today. All right, and once again, who was there to help us? Or who was there to help usher in our captivity? Edom. Right, the Edomites pointed out Israelites that were running, when the Babylonians was sacking us, 586 BC, and coincidentally being taken into New Babylon. Who did it? Edom. Verse 3, New Babylon meaning America today. Verse 3, for there they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing Yahweh's song in a strange land? Exactly. So that's why they feel comfortable around that hibbity hoppity ass, nigga or spigga, to dispel your spirit of vengeance and to put an instrument in your hand and a caricature, right? The Negro with the big watermelon smiley mouth. That silly ass shit. Let me get another one. Lamentations 3. We're gonna go back to the video in a second. Lamentations 3 and 60. It says, "Thou hast seen all their vengeance and all their imaginations against me. Thou hast Thou hast heard their reproach, O Lord, and all their imaginations against me. The lips of those that rose up against me, and their device against me all the day." Verse 63, the main point. "Behold, they're sitting down and they're rising up. I am their music." So they clap the hands at us, y'all. They seeing us down in a broken state, they find entertainment and joy out of it, and oftentimes make us partake in the shaming and mockery ritual.
Lined with white interests, very akin to Uncle Tom. The first actress to play Aunt Jemima was a woman by the name of Nancy Green. She was born into slavery in Montgomery County, Kentucky. Nancy Green would later move to Chicago after the Civil War. At 59, she was chosen as the first spokesperson for Aunt Jemima's pancake mix, and her lively personality and cooking prowess made her an ideal candidate to embody the brand. Her debut was at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, where she mesmerized audiences with her.
So imagine that, y'all. You go from a former slave to having to put on a show and dance for these people's children to make a living. Now, whether she was a coon or not, enjoyed it or not, it's a shameful thing. And these so-called white people who claim to be such a good group of people, why is their history filled with this from left to right, from top to bottom, from start to finish?
Pancake cooking demonstrations, stories, and songs. She effectively embodied the romanticized version of the Old South, and her success at the exposition was undeniable, earning her the title of Pancake Queen, and she even received a medal after selling a legendary 50,000 boxes.
Quinn wasn't scared of being naked in front of the school. He was scared they'd see his fangs, even though he was secret.
So let's go to this now. If you didn't know, let's go see where that name even comes from, and then we'll let the video finish out. Jemima, Job 42 and 14. Now let's start. Now, if you remember the story with Job, right? He had those disastrous things happen to him. I had to get over a lane real quick. House fell apart, servants threw, children died, boils, break out on his skin. So he was down bad, mourning himself. His friends came to comfort him, right? He goes to that time period, gets reproved by the Heavenly Father, and then the Heavenly Father blesses him. So we'll go, let's highlight these verses. Okay, let me go one more so I can. Bingo. Okay, so Job 42 and 10. "And Yahweh turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also, Yahweh gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house." Right, so the Lord put Job back up on a level, and he gave him twice as much amount of wealth and resources as he had before. That's what you get blessed with when you endure your tribulation. It says, he read in his house, "And they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that Yahweh had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed his latter end. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she asses, he had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemima, and the name of the second Kizia. What does that sound like? Or, and the name of the third Karen Hapuch, or Karen Hapuk. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. So here it is. One of the names goes to Job's daughters, y'all. And it said that his daughters would nobody more beautiful than them. So now obviously let's take a look at some of those. And 2 of those words should stand out. Jemima and Kizia. And what does Kizia sound short? If you wanted to shorten Kizia, what would you say? Kizzy. What name does that remind you of, y'all? Old girl from Roots. You can't tell me we not the Israelites. I'm not trying to hear it. Come on now. So let's look at the word Jemima first. H3224. What do you see? Yama. Day by day. It says one of the daughters of Job born after the restoration. Says what? Properly warm, i.e. affectionate, hence dove. Alright, so basically this is a term of endearment. Something that's it's a good female name, a dove, right? A variation, Yama. So she was beautiful, all right. The same way, birds are beautiful in nature. Jemima was one of his beautiful daughters. And what does this guy Esau go and do? What does this son of a bitch do? He turns the word Jemima into an insult. When you think of Jemima, you think of a hideously overweight and unattractive slave Israelite woman, y'all. He didn't want no beauty to be attached to the word. He attaches it to an obese Israelite woman cooking in the damn kitchen to serve master, with a smile on her face and a rag on her head. And if any of the niggas in the kitchen act up, she gonna slap him with a big wooden stick to get him back in line. This guy's a motherfucker, y'all. Did you know Jemima was a biblical word? Did you know that? And look what he did with it. So now, and this is a common thing, many of the things that are scriptural, he's made us inadvertently hate and abhor it, right? Being, nobody, you wouldn't, in today's time, most people wouldn't name their so-called black daughter Jemima because you don't want her to be associated with the negative term, but it's a biblical name. And that's how he's done us in many ways. If you're not cool if you don't get tattoos. Scriptures tell us not to get tattoos. If you have a beard on your face, you dirty and unclean. And it's a complete opposite. A beard is something manly and holy. Beard. It's a sign of manly dignity. You see how he's flipped and swapped everything that the Heavenly Father gave us. Even something as simple as our names. He don't want us having no connection to the scriptures whatsoever, y'all, so he can keep us in this controlled, retarded ass mindset. Kwa taza ya'ai. Let me see. Kwa taza ya'aya. Cassia. Kwa taza ya'aya. Looks like, it says what, one of the daughters of Job. Cassia. A tree, a shrub. Okay, so she was named after a particular plant. Aromatic bark on the Eastern Asian tree. So she was named after probably a plant that smells very good, y'all. You can imagine. A cassia. That's why I went and looked it up. I ain't gonna fake the fun. I didn't know what the fuck a cassia was. Right? Kezia in English. Sound, shorten it up, it sound like Kizzy, man. Come on, y'all. You can't make this shit up, dog. You can't make this shit up. We'll look up the last one when we get back to the video. H7163. Quran Hapanak. It looks like. Quran Hapanak. Yep. Horn of antimony. Yeah, Quran is the Hebrew word for horn. Quran Hapanak. Horn of antimony. One of the daughters of Job. Let's look up what antimony means. The chemical element of atomic number 51, or brittle. And so horn of a metal. Horn of a metal. Horn of cosmetic, right? So she's at, if you will, the peak of beauty. Yup. Look right there. I.e. beautifier. Yup. Perfect. Hey, man, the spirit be, hey. She was the peak of the horn, the beauty, the best part, y'all. These are the type of names we could have been giving our daughters, but what we got? Quandon, Sharon, Dan, Niqua, Shar, Keisha. All that bullshit. This man, he's stripped us of our heritage and our culture and given us this death black culture. All right, let me let this finish.
We even received a medal after selling a legendary 50,000 boxes. During her time, Aunt Jemima became one of the first black corporate models in the United States, and while her portrayal of a character was rooted in a mammy stereotype, she was a remarkable individual in her own right and engaged in a lot of philanthropy. This engagement as Aunt Jemima afforded her a lot of social and economic opportunities that were largely unavailable to black women of that era. So Aunt Jemima, the brand, under the leadership of R.T. Davis, the brand would create this semi-fictional backstory for Nancy Green and the Aunt Jemima brand. She was depicted as this legendary cook with a secret recipe and an image that resonated with romanticized notions of Southern life and further solidified the brand's appeal. Nancy Green would live into the age of 89 when she would tragically pass away in 1923 in a car accident. But the legacy of Aunt Jemima would continue with the Pearl Milling Company, which employed other actresses to embody the...
So after the original one died, they just kept hiring more and more to keep that stereotype going.
Character that she had initially established. Continuing this tradition, actress Moody performed the role.
And this, this is the spirit of Big Shirley, y'all. Esau, that spirit is still alive and well. Like Elder Apostle Recall always says, the Big Shirley spirit. Come on, man.
1900 Paris Exposition. In 1925, Lillian Richard portrayed Aunt Jemima for 23 years, followed by Ann Robinson at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair, who helped redesign the packaging with her likeness. Rosa Washington Riles and Anna Short Harrington also took up the role in 1948 and 1954, respectively. Edith Wilson continued the portrayal, becoming the first to appear in a radio and television commercial in 1948 through 1966. And Ethel Ernestine Harper took over the likeness during the 50s, and she was the last individual model for the logo. Rose Lee Moore Harper, also known as the last living Aunt Jemima.
Yep, and this is the one that, us younger brothers are probably more familiar with. That's the face you're probably used to seeing. Your grandparents and them saw the other versions.
Also held the role until her death in 1967, and Anne Lewis performed at Disneyland at Aunt Jemima's Pancake House from 1957 until her passing in 1964. These women were instrumental in transforming Aunt Jemima from a trademark into a real persona, which was essential to the brand's identity and its widespread appeal.
And so if it wasn't for her face, Esau wouldn't have been able to get all themselves comfortably. Because you had niggas buying it, right? Obviously, because, niggas thinking they see a black woman, oh yeah, we run this. And then Esau, he felt comfortable seeing a slave-style woman. So, of course, we're used again for his benefit, while we get none of it. And get an insult on top of it.
The marketing strategies employed fictitious stories, promotional material, and paper dolls, extending the brand's reach across the United States and even into Canada, while perpetuating this mammy stereotype and its association with Southern hospitality and servitude. Despite the commercial success, Aunt Jemima faced criticisms for its perpetuation of racial stereotypes, including this mammy archetype. Early critics decried it as a harmful post-Reconstruction fantasy. These criticisms only intensified with the Civil Rights Movement, with figures like Elvis Cleaver condemning its racial connotation. Cleaver, who viewed Aunt Jemima as a symbol of racial servitude and equated the name as the female version of Uncle Tom, and consumers would then indicate their discomfort with its association.
Hey guys, Augusta's here, and new FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $250.
Tom, and consumers would then indicate their discomfort with its association with slavery. In response to these concerns, changes were implemented over time. In 1968, the brand slimmed down its image, and in 1989, it removed the covering from her head, symbolizing
So they took her head wrap off and made her a little bit slimmer.
its shift away from its racially charged origins. Despite these efforts, the character continued to invoke controversy, illustrating a complex legacy of its initial portrayal. In recent years, societal attitudes towards racial representation have promoted brands to reassess their imagery and messaging.
That's good, y'all. But you see, this is why, man. See, the younger generations don't know this. They see that, they just think Aunt Jemima is a chef black woman from the pancakes, having no idea it has connections back to, the slave days, making an insult of us, a mockery of us. That's why the young ones are supposed to be instructed in the ways of the old, so that the enemies don't have that advantage of intelligence over them. Sirach, the 30th chapter. So that's about it, y'all. I just wanted to bring this to y'all's attention, man. This devil has a lot to pay for, y'all. He has a lot to pay for. Everything that he's done here, everything that you see great about this country, some way, somehow is rooted in back to how he took advantage of us, making us his captives. But I want to get this real quick and we'll end it. He's going to be made to pay for all this. I just want to get this out of Isaiah 34. He's done all these wicked deeds to build up this kingdom, and this kingdom will be destroyed brutally. So was it worth it, Esau? All this, all this rape, robbery, murder, taking advantage of folk, lying, killing, stealing. Is it truly going to have been worth it in the end? Time will tell. Isaiah 34, I'm going to start right at it, verse 5. It says, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment." So the destruction is going to come down upon Edom, America. And the ultimate destruction that he's going to face is the nuclear missiles, right? The day that shall burn as an oven, like it tells us in Malachi. That they shall build, but I will throw down, like it also tells us in Malachi. Edom has a lot coming to him because he's done a lot to everybody, but specifically and especially the Israelites. So that's it, y'all. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakodash, to honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to all the elect Akim wa Akwa, learning, teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom.